Our first guest spent just 11 days as Donald Trump's White House Director of Communications back in 2017. Oh, look, we're in his sandwich. Now he's sharing some of the lessons he learned from that infamous time in his new book, From Wall Street to the White House and Back.
So without any further ado, please welcome Anthony the Mooch Scaramucci.
There he is.
There he is.
Look at this guy. Thank you.
Look at this guy.
Nice
Thank you for being here. So nice to meet you.
So nice to meet you guys. Thanks for having me.
How did you pronounce his name? You liked it.
Scaramucci.
Pretty good. It's pretty good. I've been called a lot worse than that. So
No.
I can't even imagine.
Are you of Italian descent? Or your parents?
Italian.
Yeah.
Both
There's a
my
vowel
parents.
at the end of the name.
Yeah.
They were born here. They were born
Although, you know, when you do the Ancestry.com,
Yeah.
you learn that you're more than just Italian. You know, there's a
course.
couple other Mediterranean countries that are in there.
there. Do you know what yours are?
Yeah, so I was actually almost 85% Italian. I think there's like 15% Greek.
I could see
That's a great combo.
And a couple other
Mediterranean.
things.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, beautiful.
All right, so we're going to talk about your book soon. Love it. Love the title. He's sharing it with some of our other guests. I like when our guests get to know each other. You were hanging out backstage. But we cannot talk, we would be remiss if we ignored the Trump trial.
You talk about anything
Did
you
you
want
watch?
with me.
I love this guy.
Did you watch your former
I did.
boss?
I
You
did. More important than just watching, because I had an interest in the trial, I read the transcript, and so I went through the witness accounts and the testimony, and obviously the cross-examination of the different parties. Yeah. So I did.
Thoughts?
You want my opinion?
Yes.
I mean, I
Please.
don't
So
want you to be silent.
I don't like the case,
Sure.
and so I think it's fairly self-evident that he is guilty on the facts of the case.
Sure.
But there was a statute of limitations issue in that case, and there are other elements related to that case. It's not clear to me that that case would have been brought against somebody else that wasn't as high profile as Donald Trump, or as high profile as a political figure. So even though I have a disagreement with the president and I don't want him to return to the presidency, I stand with 40 other cabinet level officials, the former vice president of the United States, all expressing the danger of Donald Trump. I don't like the case, but he was guilty on those facts.
Sure.
And so what ends up happening is when you're guilty on the facts, and then you have a group of Republicans saying that this was lawfare and this was unfair, you're sort of attacking the private citizens that are the jurors in the case. And so you can't blame the jurors that are subpoenaed. It's their constitutional obligation to be a juror. They don't really have a lot of things to say about the political situation. They're just adjudicating the case. So I think it's a mistake for the Republicans to go after the justice system in this case, but I don't like the case, and I like to call balls and strikes the way I personally see it.
Baseball. But one more question about this. You have actually said that Trump's not going to win, and you think that he's going to implode between now and November. Why is that your opinion?
Well, there's a number of reasons why he won't win. The main one is the get out the vote situation. So I submit to you that these are two known entities in the United States for the last 50 years. Everyone knows Donald Trump. Everyone knows Joe Biden. This is not the Barack Obama 2008 introductory tour in terms of somebody running for president. And so this is a get out the vote exercise. And if you look at the field offices that the Democrats have put in the swing states, you look at the money the Democrats have raised, or at least President Biden has raised, relative to President Trump, and you look at the ad spending. And so remember, President Biden got out early, raised way more money than Donald Trump, bought all the ads.
Sure.
He's spending 3-to-1 on Meta relative to Donald Trump, and he's also blocked him. He's crowded him out in the important states, in the important times of the year, which is late October into election day.
So you don't think he's going to win?
I don't think he's going to win.
You don't think he's
That's that
gonna
on
win.
that.
Yeah.
And that is all you have to say.
And remember, he's also lost the popular vote the last 2 times.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And so this is the only way you can really get back to the presidency is through the Electoral College. And there's 3 or 4 states where it looks very close right now,
Anthony
but it's
Scaramucci,
going to break.
I could talk politics with you till the day is long. My producers will kill me because this is a lifestyle show.
But we want to talk about the book.
Talk about lifestyle.
The book. This is why
I just want to know from your fashion designers that you're going to have on, like Dawn, is this a good color for the book?
Well,
You like the
Dawn
color or
Russo,
no?
what do you
Dawn, is it
think?
giving?
Is it
And
giving?
also, this is
It's giving.
This is my high school yearbook picture made to look
Wow.
older.
Is that right?
So there's a lot of
So
photoshopping
there's some
going
AI
on.
in there.
A little
Is that
AI,
right?
yeah, exactly.
It's about life lessons.
Yeah.
So
It
what
is.
did
It
you
is.
learn?
It's about, well, I've had a
let's start with, that's okay, because there's so many layers in there. But we want to start with what you learned from working in the White House and that whole experience. What's that life lesson?
Well, listen, let me just start with saying that I grew up in a blue-collar neighborhood. My parents didn't go to college, so I've had this very undeserved life that I'm very grateful for. And frankly, it's a life that you could really only have in America. You know, I ended up going to some great schools, got a good job, built 2 successful companies. When I went to work in the White House, I probably didn't understand the mechanisms of politics as well as I needed to. I lasted 11 days in the White House. I got fired after 11 days. I don't mince words about that. I own my firing. I take the responsibility for it. But what did I learn? It's a very complicated job to be in the White House.
I can't imagine.
I'll submit to you and your viewers, if you're in the White House and a decision is coming into the White House, there are 5,000 people in the executive branch that couldn't make the decision.
Right.
So now it's ending up with the president and the president's team. And generally, these are decisions, this is going to go really badly, or it's going to go slightly less badly.
Right.
Otherwise, somebody else in the government would have made the decision.
Right.
And so
But heavy is
I
the
think
head
it
that
sobered
wears
me.
the crown. Right.
I'm
heavy,
sorry?
Heavy is the head that wears the crown.
Yes, and I think it sobered me to understand that I'm more sympathetic to the people that work on these jobs. As an example, you know, it was a 60% probability that bin Laden was in the house in Abbottabad in May of 2011. 60% probability. And so the president has to make that decision.
Right.
If it goes wrong.
And then if it goes wrong, we, the voters, are going to be like, oh my God, everybody is corrupt.
And we
what
Monday
are the lessons
morning
you have learned
quarterback
as a
these
father
people.
and as a husband?
Well, I think big lessons. I think when you get fired the way I got fired and you get raked over the coals and you're parodied on Saturday Night Live.
Well, you've made it.
Well, you
when
run
you're parodied on
towards
SNL, you've made it.
If you ain't got haters, you ain't popping.
I guess so. Yeah, Bill Hader played me. I think he did a pretty good job. You know, I ran into Lorne Michaels at a Met-Yankee game. He says, "How did we do?" I said, "Well, I thought Bill needed more hairspray. I think there's some hair out of place there. I didn't really love it." But I think as a dad, I think what I write in the book is exposure human frailty to your kids. You know, I have a lot of friends that are very rich. They've written memoirs. They go up and to the right. They have these perfect lives. They try to gloss over the mistakes that they've made in their lives.
And their kids are not learning anything.
And I think it eclipses the kids. I think it overshadows them. And so I've tried to write a vulnerable book, an honest book about trials and tribulations of taking risk on Wall Street, taking risk going into the White House, leaving the White House, rebuilding my career. These are some lessons that I learned along the way. And I wrote it as not a chapter book, but here are 25 things that I've observed. So you can pick up this book and go to the middle of it and start reading.
Wow.
And there's something in there.
So there wasn't a 26 that you wish you
well,
had
there's
put
probably
in.
50. My editor made me get it down to 25.
Exactly.
But, you know, here's the thing. Like, you know, at the end of the day, we're human.
Sure.
There's a great line Winston Churchill once said, "The best among us choose not to judge human frailty so harshly." So think of our polarized society. Think of the way we go after each other on social media. Maybe we need to relax a little bit.
It wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Am I going to see you at Citi Field?
I'm there all the time. Yeah,
you never come visit me in my booth.
Okay, I'll have to come up and see you.
Please.
Yeah,
You guys can
right.
exchange numbers. We want to thank you so much for being here.
It's great to be on. Thank you,
As he mentioned, from Wall Street to the White House and back.
Love
it's
the
available
shows.
wherever
Love the
books
color.
are sold.